From recruiting and consulting firm Riderflex, I'm your host, Steve Urban, and here is your Riderflex episode of the day. How do you stay humble during the interview? The importance of humility during that all-important meeting with the hiring manager. I want to talk about that for just a second, give you a few tips. You know, I've seen people blow this many times. They get in the interview and they just come across too cocky, too big of an ego, overconfident, and really that's just such a turnoff, right? Especially when you talk about the chemistry and fit with the culture and all of those things. I want to give you a few tips here because it's important, right? You're trying to sell yourself. You're trying to highlight your accomplishments and everything that you've done with your career. How do you balancing all that and staying humble? It's a tough job. And so here's what I'd suggest. Number one, just watch how many times you use the word I instead of we as you present all the things you've done in your career, meaning pull your former team members into it. We accomplished, me and my team accomplished, etc. Make sure that it's about the groups you worked with. Even if you were the leader, make sure you're giving other people, praise and recognition for some of those accomplishments, and make sure you're not making it sound like you did it all by yourself. I think that's number one. That's my first tip. Second, make sure that the conversation is a two-way conversation. In other words, make sure you're listening carefully and also asking questions back to the interviewer and drawing them into the conversation and making it a little bit about them. Ask about their life, maybe compliment them because you looked them up on LinkedIn ahead of time and tell them, hey, wow, I noticed you worked at XYZ company before this and you were a VP over there and you accomplished some great things, etc. Compliment them, draw them into the conversation, maybe ask them a few questions about what they had done previously, maybe ask them some questions about how long they've been with the company, etc. In other words, make it a little bit about them and a little bit about the company and not just all about you. I think that will also help. Third, your body language. Just watch how you're sitting, whether or not you're crossing your arms, whether or not you're pointing your finger, etc. Be careful with your body language. Make sure it doesn't come across as too aggressive or too cocky. Smile a lot, I think, would be my next tip. And make sure that you show that you are really engaged and listening to what they're telling you instead of just focusing on what you're going to say next about yourself. I think that's a big key. And I think those are just a few things. If you just do those things during your interview, I think you'll have a much better chance of selling yourself without coming across as too cocky or overconfident or having too big of an ego that might scare a lot of people off. And there is your Riderflex tip of the day. The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.